Tonight, the Porsche Owners Club visits a familiar home. The California-based club once again hits the twists and turns of Sonoma Raceway, but this time in the virtual world. Who can take their skills from the physical world and apply them to the world of iRacing in round number 9 of the Porsche Owners Club Season 2. Glad to have you along for the ride tonight live on the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Devin Henry alongside Peter Mackay, and behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, most of these drivers actually already know Sonoma Raceway pretty well from driving there in real life for the most part, but we'll take a little bit of a closer look at the fastest track in Wine County with our GSRC lap guy.
Welcome to Sonoma Raceway, one of California's most famous road courses. It resides just north of San Francisco. It's been host to a wide variety of styles of racing, including sports cars, Indy cars, motorcycles, and even drag racing. But in recent decades, it's become most well known for holding one of NASCAR's rare road course weekends. For most tracks, this cornucopia would be a stretch, but considering the array of 5 different layouts to choose from, it's quite easy for the circuit to be adapted to any series needs. Most of the layouts clock in at around 2 to 2.5 miles in length and always feature an impressive amount of elevation change. This means many of the corners present the driver with a blind entry or apex. Some of these have a very distinct visual look, making them instantly recognizable. Corners such as the chute and the final hairpin feature street course-like walls surrounding the track, while the carousel is both picturesque and challenging. With few long straights, passing is often considered very difficult, but it rarely leaves races with a lack of action. Mistakes can be easy to make, offering opportunities for the brave. And it's not just the track itself which is tough. The pit entry's narrow path requires precise driving for those looking to make up time and leapfrog their competitors during stops. With more than 40 years of racing under its belt, Sonoma has become a staple for West Coast race fans. And what could be better than a glass of vino on a sunny hillside while the sound of engines echo around you?
Well, Peter, it's certainly not like some of the hills that we've seen throughout the past few races in the Porsche Owners Cup, but what we have seen here is a lot of turns, a lot of places to get tricked up, and of course, a great carousel as we are on the Cup course today here at Sonoma.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here at Sonoma in Wine County, and that makes me very happy indeed. Of course, Mario Andretti, he has his vineyard not too far down the road from here, and this Sonoma circuit, well, it's a real challenge. Lots of different layouts you can have here at this particular facility, and of course it's been going since the late 1960s. And of course a Mr. Penske, he won with one of his cars with Mark Donoghue the first time they ever raced here.
A lot of fun here. These drivers will be going for 30 minutes around this course. Right now they are coming into the final 10 minutes of their qualifying session. And of course, we have to give a big thank you to those who helped put this series on and allow us to broadcast, and that includes Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. And if you might be interested in advertising with GSRC, you will love our channel's 1 million monthly global impressions. They are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description on YouTube below, or visit globalsimracingchannel.com/advertising just to learn a little bit more. And Peter, a little bit more on this series. We have just passed the halfway point now of the season. Things are still pretty heated up, but last week's winner at Road Atlanta, Teddy Framheim, has made things a little bit more difficult for a lot of these guys in the GT3s.
Yeah, he certainly has. Teddy Framheim, an absolutely dominant performance last time out at Road Atlanta. He's sitting on 104 points right now, but real-world race driver Gregory LeFougue is only 4 points behind. Another real-world race driver, Connor Bloom, 16 points behind. So It is really, really tight at the top. Nielsen Lawrence isn't too far back. He's 29 points back. And Michael Bolton, 35 points back. And with the new extended season that we've got, it's going to rumble all the way through to the season finale.
Yes, we added a lot of races. That even includes a 60-minute race at Auto Club a little bit later in the season and a 90-minute race at the Circuit of the Americas a little bit later on in the year. So still a lot of racing to go for these guys. You mentioned Nielsen Lawrence, winless so far in the season, but has just been consistent. Meanwhile, in GT4, it's a different story, and I think that the story, in essence, is just Jacob Abrams. 2 words. That's the book right there, Peter.
Yeah, it's been absolute domination from Jacob Abrams. He's been incredibly impressive, and he's not only has he been the fastest guy on track, he's been the guy who's just not made mistakes when all the others have faltered around him. And he holds a 64-point lead from Paul Newton, a 92-point lead from Michael Ost in third. BJ Fulton in joint in third as well, with Alan Stad 94 points back in fifth. So, I mean, it's Jacob Abrams to lose in GT4, but as we've seen here at the Porsche Owners Club with multi-class racing, we've got the 911 GT3 Cup and we've got the 718 GT4 machine. That multi-class racing does allow plenty of opportunities for incidents, so you know it can unravel, but certainly Jacob Abrams in control in GT4.
Michael Ost, the only person not named Jacob Abrams to win this year, and Abrams with 7 victories has certainly propelled him to a really great season. Usually more than 10 GT3s in a race, and Abrams still finds a way to make himself inside the top 10. And you can follow along with all those drivers just like we do up here in the booth with gsrc.tv. Check out live timing and scoring. That is at gsrc.tv. Peter, tell us a little bit more, dig in just a little bit more on what we have with this series and what they have been doing this year, what we're driving and what round we're in.
Okay, so starting off with the classes, the 911 GT3 Cup car, a car which any Porsche racing fan will be familiar with. It's the car they use in the Mobil 1 Super Cup that goes around with the Formula 1 series and the GT3 Challenge America and many different Carrera Cup series around the world. And it's launched the career of many a Le Mans winner. So the Pro Class guys, they have that one to look after. It's quite a fickle little car and rear engine, so it does take a little bit of taming, but a brilliant car nonetheless. For the GT4 guys, they are going in the 718 Cayman GT4, a nice, lovely balanced machine, mid-engine. It's got traction control, it's got ABS. It's a wonderful little car. Slightly unusual format for the race. We have 30 minutes of open qualifying, so plenty of time to go out and hot lap and set your best possible lap time, and then we go straight into a 30-minute race. Most importantly, I think, to mention is the open setup. So many series here in iRacing, you're given the same setup as everybody else, and you just got to go out and practice with it. But here, the drivers can fine-tune their vehicles just the way they like it, and that setup time is vital to getting all the lap time out of these cars.
And everyone in this race is a part of the Porsche Owners Club, and they are primarily based out of California, but everyone in the series actually owns a Porsche. They go out and they do races on real-life tracks in California, whether it be wheel-to-wheel racing or time trials. In fact, this club was at the real-life Sonoma Raceway just over a month ago, back on July 26th. Matt Hollander, the series organizer here in the virtual world, finished 4th in the Boxster Spec class. Ron Palmer, we talked about him a bit. He was 6th in GT3. And part of being able to have these open setups, Peter, I think that some of these guys who do own their own Porsche, they kind of get to test a little bit what you get to do in the virtual world, and you might even be able to correlate that just a little bit to your own personal real-life Porsche as well.
Absolutely, they are, particularly for the guys that drive the 911 on a regular basis. It has a unique feel. And actually, my co-host on the Porsche Sport podcast, Kat Impey, she's actually driven. She does a lot of coaching with drivers now with the Porsche, and she actually says that the 911 GT3 Cup machine is actually even trickier to handle in the sim compared to the real life version. So if you can handle here in the sim, you're doing really well. And like you say, if you have that real world experience, it helps for racecraft. It helps for, like you say, setting up the car, because anything you can adjust on the real world car, the iRacing simulator is incredible. You can get in there and fine-tune every detail, and that's why you see so many drivers now, offering their pro setups for a price, of course.
Yeah, for that price, sometimes it might cost you a penny or maybe an arm and a leg every now and again. But this series really intrigues me, not just because they have been here in real life, but they have also been here on the sim before. Last season was a very short 4-race season. And last time they were here, it was only GT4s. Gregory LeFou took the win. Eric Oviatt finished in second. And also Boileau, who we haven't talked about a ton, finished in third in the GT4s, which was the only car that season. So I'm really intrigued to talk to these guys after the race and see what their experience from a previous sim race and also racing here in real life kind of puts together to kind of make this, I don't know, it almost feels like, I don't want to say an all-star race because obviously these guys race together all the time, but very rarely do you have guys who race in the real world and in the sim world and come together and run another race.
Devin, I've got amazing news. Michael Roban, look at the paint scheme on his 718 GT4. I'm so sorry, I've changed the direction of the conversation. We have an Octavio Tequila car at last. Look at that. Look at that beautiful machine. That is a future classic livery there. Lovely light blue and dark for our series sponsors, Octavio Tequila. What a beautiful looking car that is.
Roban, the owner of MS Media Consulting Incorporated, longtime member with not just the Porsche Owners Club, but also been sim racing for a while. How about another one for you, Peter? Michael Johnson, spotting the Octavio livery as well.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is, are we influencers, Devin? I think we might be.
I think Octavio Tequila is an influencer on his own. There you go. And when you come to Wine County, this is what you expect, to bring the sponsor on board.
Yeah, I'd love to go to Mario Andretti's winery. Apparently when the team come here to Sonoma, it's always a bit of a highlight of the trip.
Riding on board right now with Paul Noon as we see them go through this tricky final corner. If you have watched NASCAR, you've seen plenty of drivers get punted. If you have watched just about any series, that final corner before you come over here to the start-finish line can be tricky for everyone, not just drivers in front of you braking, but drivers behind you, maybe trying to give you a little bit of a bump. But Peter, where do you see on this track being the most difficult for these drivers today?
By pure luck, turn one, and that opening section where I think that particularly for the 911 GT3 runners, where that car likes to be slowed down in a straight line, but that's not really that much of an option here at Sonoma. You got to try and almost V off the corner a little bit, but it's really tricky. The car doesn't have anti-lock braking, and of course the engine being right at the back, it's a 4-litre engine, straight six. It's quite a big engine, and so there's a lot of weight on the back axle, and that can make it rotate, and that's going to be a real balancing act for these drivers. And that again is where that real world knowledge will be really important. For the Caymans, it won't be so bad, but it will require that little bit of finesse in braking, you know. So it's I think that turn one section is the most difficult, but here at Sonoma, it's a proper challenge for the drivers. We were talking before we came on air. I love driving this circuit, but I tell you what, I don't love it when I look at the timesheets.
A very difficult track. One thing that will not be against this drivers, though, today is the weather. Weather right now and track temperature about the same, right around mid-70s. So we've seen a few races where the track temperature was just ballistic, and these drivers have to fare with some really hot track temperatures that really makes the track slick. But tonight, they're going to be able to not have to fight the track temperature along with the track, and I'm sure that these drivers are thankful for that.
They absolutely will be. Yeah, it's a beautiful, sunny California day. I have to say, every time I see these guys, I think how jealous I am to be able to be racing Porsches in California in the real world. It must be a lot of fun.
Drivers finishing up their qualifying laps have just under 2 minutes to complete it. Just a few drivers left on track, but how about in the GT4s? Doug Boccionione up qualifying on the pole right now. Michael Ost in second. Your points leader, Jacob Abrams, will have to start from the second row in this class. Meanwhile, Teddy Framheim once again out front in GT3.
Yeah, certainly. That's very surprising to see Jacob Abrams not on the front row. That could be really important. We're used to seeing him starting from the front row, and we know how hectic the starts can get here in the Porsche Owners Club, and going into turn one, it's a real bottleneck. So Jacob Abrams, he'll have to keep his wits about him for sure. But yeah, Teddy Framheim, what can we say about him? You know, he drives a Cayman in the real life, but he's mastered this 911, and He's in the Porsche factory colours. Teddy Framheim maintains his 100% qualifying record. How impressive.
Following along with John Momeyer, sporting some Sun Devil pitchforks on there out of Arizona, driving in the number 96 car. Right now, 17th, trying to make that lap just a little bit better. I believe this might just be one of two final drivers here on the track. Final 30 seconds to clear anything up. Not quite able to get any faster there for Momeyer. Got a 141 and some change there. And that will be it. Looks like all of our drivers will be completing their circuits around the track, and it is time to go ahead and give you guys tonight's starting order for the Porsche Owners Club here at Sonoma Raceway. Starting up on the front row, it's Teddy Framheim in GT3. Connor Bloom on the outside of him in second. Michael Johnson starts off inside of row number 2 with Matt Hollander starting in 4th. Travis Brown coming out, qualifying in 5th. Bayan Salehi will start things off in 6th. John Horvath will start inside of row 4. Jim Slavic ends up the 8 drivers in GT3 here. And then your front row for GT4, Doug Boccignone picking up a pole here to start off 9th overall in the front row here in GT4. And Michael Osh rounds out your top 10.
In 11th and 3rd in GT4 is Jacob Abrams, the championship leader. He'll line up alongside Paul Newton. On row 7 will be Eric Obdia and BJ Fulton. Row 8 will be Brian Swift and Michael Roban in the Octavio Tequila car. Look out for that one. Row 9 is Jad Duncan and Alan Stad. And row 10, Ron Palmer and Sivak Fagarian. And in row 11 will be Adam Fulton and Aaron Edwards. Row 12, Jerry Freckleton and Mark Rondeau. Row 13, John Momeyer and Patrick Flanagan. And not setting a time starting from the back of the class will be Nelson Lawrence. Not good for his championship hopes.
Have not seen him in the session yet, so we will see if he will be able to come out onto the track and try to run for these points, because he is in that conversation for ending up on the end of the year podium. I know that this season got extended a couple weeks ago to have a total of 16 races, but still a long way to go. But it's still so easy to end up putting yourself deep in the points and trying to dig yourself out of a hole. And as you mentioned, with starts like we have here sometimes in the Porsche Owners Club, it can be hard to do.
Yes, that's getting through in any form of sim race. It's getting through turn 1 is a real challenge sometimes, and here the guys get pretty excited sometimes and can be pretty fierce going down to turn 1. So it's going to be tricky. Now, of course, we know these guys. They occasionally have an event called 4 Drink Friday, and it is what it sounds like: 4 drinks on a Friday, iRacing, and I was gutted to not be able to join you, Devin, with NASCAR trucks at Bathurst. How did that go?
It went about as well as you would think it would. Luckily, damage was off, but we did get a few trucks end up on their lid and having to tow back to the pits. But yeah, these drivers like to have a lot of fun, not only here in their Porsches, which they own in real life as well, and some variety, but also going out and having a little bit of fun once a month. 4 Drink Fridays here on GSRC. Yeah, a lot of fun, and my favorite post-race interviews that I have ever had.
Oh yeah, they need a parental warning, I'm sure. Well, hopefully I can join you in the booth for one of those coming up soon. These guys are a lot of fun, and I had a really nice message from championship leader Teddy Framheim today. He said he'd been listening to the Porsche Sport podcast and said how he'd enjoyed listening to it. So that was very kind indeed.
Absolutely. That's what we're here to do. Hopefully have a little bit of a good time. We already have some news. Sivak Fagarian has already went off track here during the pace laps. And once you get past turn number 1, the track narrows a little bit, and this dirt is like quicksand here at Sonoma. If you get into that dirt, I mean, even the slightest tap on the throttle, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, well, it's happened to the best of them. We've seen drivers of all abilities, crashing on the pace lap. We saw most famously in 2008 at Petit Le Mans, Alan McNish crashing his Audi R10 TDI not even on the pace lap, on the lap to the grid, and ended up coming back and winning the race from 2 laps down. So Sivak Fagarian, don't worry. If Alan McNish can do it, anyone can do it.
A little tough go at it there, but nonetheless, these drivers getting one last slow look around this track. Unfortunately, it looks like Nielsen Lawrence will not be joining us here as he continues to fight in the points, but if he is able to join us, he will have to start from the pits and will likely be a couple of laps down. Well, the pace Porsche is about ready to peel on off as these drivers will get one last look here at this final corner that could cause mayhem. Teddy Framheim in the white, Connor Bloom in the pink. Bringing us around the final corner, the Porsche Owners Club ready to go here at Sonoma Raceway. Back at home in California, we are green at Sonoma.
So here we go then. Look at all that horsepower getting opened up from these flat six engines in the GT3 class. Now we've got a spinner already. I think that's Matt Hollander. Matt Hollander, he's somehow kept out the wall, but here go, oh, huge! Oh my goodness me, that was almost inevitable. You got a feel for those GT4 guys. They had nowhere to go, and Matt Hollander was just strewn across the track. Well, what a dramatic start to the race.
Hollander involved, BJ Fulton involved, Adam Fulton in that as well, and just like that in GT3, Framheim and Bloom have absolutely ran away at the front of this field.
Certainly have. Connor Bloom in the pink pig, very famous Porsche livery, and he's hunting down Teddy Framheim. Well, Jacob Abrams, he's got through there cleanly, but that is really... Whoa, we got another runner off there onto the sand.
Byhan Salehi, major damage, and he has to tow.
Oh dear, not a good start for the man who's going through his bar exam right now, training to be a lawyer. So if you get yourself in trouble, give Byhan Salehi a call. And there are quite a few guys that got into trouble here. Maybe Matt Hollander will need to speak to Byhan to get he'll be sure you'll have a few guys upset with him about that incident.
Hollander with an early incident. Michael Oates was also involved in that, as well as Jad Duncan. A number of names in a first half lap crash that a lot of drivers fighting the points going to be falling through. Another driver looks to be sideways and in the wall later on the track as well. Right here, looks like Jerry Freckleton also in trouble as well.
Yeah, a lot of damage there for these drivers. It was just so unlucky coming around that blind corner. And in fact, actually, ironically, those that qualified on the front row of the grid, they were the guys that paid the price because they were first on the scene, as they say. But tell you what, Teddy Framheim, he's just pulling away now from Connor Bloom in the 95 Pink Pig, and these are two Porsche factory liveries at the front.
Been a good year for Teddy Framheim. Season, I guess that I should say. Framheim 4 wins, leads GT3 class with LaFougue just behind him with 3 wins. Though not here tonight. Connor Bloom, though, still trying to fight in the points as well. He has that win from very early on in the year, looking to find a way to victory lane once again, but here at Sonoma. Continue to battle here, battle in GT4. These drivers starting to kind of stretch out just a little bit now, but drivers still fighting for the lead. Looks like Boxignone and Jacob Abrams here trying to go for the GT4 lead.
Yeah, cue the Jaws music. Here comes Jacob Abrams, and I'm sure for Bocchione, he's looking in his mirror going, oh no, oh, not Jacob Abrams. I was thinking, oh, maybe he'd got caught up in that wreck, but no, that must be what any of the GT4 runners just dread, seeing that bright red nose, that red and white machine appearing in your rear view mirror. It's just not what you want to see. Must be like what IndyCar drivers think when they see Scott Dixon come up behind them.
Well, certainly in 2020, that certainly seems to be the way in IndyCar, and it seems that way also here in Season 2 of GT4s, as Jacob Abrams is in search for win number 8 on the season, and first he's going to have to go across Boxignone and take this lead here at Sonoma first. As these two battle, let's take a little bit of a look back here and take a look at what caused a lot of troubles here for these leaders in GT4. Matt Hollander with issues here off the start as they take the green flag.
He maybe got a help. Let's get a close look. He's running alongside Michael Johnson. They're running very closely together. Oh, just trying to peek over the top of the barrier there. Byhan Salehi goes round the outside, and then boom, the AlphaTauri. Well, oh dearie me, that was he got charged by the bull there.
Holds the brakes, but one driver taking the inside. And that's all it took for all this chaos here in the back of the pack for GT4.
Yeah, Alan Stad getting involved in that as well. Really unlucky for him as well. Oh, what a pity. And what a pity for Matt Hollander, because he actually did incredibly well to keep it out the wall, because the wall is really close there. And he was doing really well and held the brake as you should, but just one of those unfortunate things. And yeah, quite dramatic circumstances.
Top four here in GT4 continue to race. Batsione in the lead in the green machine. Jacob Abrams in second, as we talked about. Eric Oviatt, though, and Paul Newton not far behind here in this battle.
Yeah, this is interesting. There's a little bit of a group forming at the front of GT4, and Boccioni, he's not letting Abrams put him off. He's maintaining his position. He's holding station as well, so we could see a little bit of a four-way battle here in the Californian sunshine as we head through this opening section. Really, I tell you what, Devin, this track here at Sonoma, it's kind of like a sandy VIR, I think.
Yeah, in a way it certainly is, although in most of the seasons it's actually grass, but we don't typically see that when any racing series comes here to Sonoma. But yeah, very much so. It even has a little bit of hills as well, and we know that the chaos that VIR had when we went there just about a month ago here with the Porsche Owners Club.
Yeah, super, both really, really technical tracks. Look at this, Brian Swift looking up the inside. Oh, that's really close through there. And Alan Stad, he's looking to make his way up and make up for lost time. And here come some of the GT3 runners as well. So this is going to shuffle the pack up a lot. Alan Stad and Brian Swift go side by side. Brilliant stuff as well. We've got the Pfaff Motorsports car there. We've got the Wright Motorsports car of Brian Swift as well. Brilliant stuff here in GT4. It's not easy to pass here at Sonoma, but brilliant stuff from these guys.
Here comes a little bit of traffic starting to move their way through these GT4s. Octavio Tequila trying to make their way up through the field, and side-by-side racing is not what you want to see when you're a GT3 driver.
No, absolutely. And if you're a GT4 driver, they're probably looking in the mirrors now and getting thirsty and thinking, I quite fancy a nice, smooth, small batch tequila made from 100% blue agave like Octavia is. And through they go then. But Michael Johnson, remember, Michael Johnson has quite a bit of real-world experience as well, and he's using that to good effect to make his way safely through the GT4 field. That real-world experience, I think, Devin, most important when racing in that multi-class format.
And a lot of drivers have some sort of real-world experience here at Sonoma. These drivers in the real world just visited this track, whether it be time trials or wheel-to-wheel racing, just about a month and a half ago. This club, mostly based out of California, all the members for the most part the Western United States, and so these drivers now taking it to the sim world as well. And this top four battle, Peter, is just not calming down. Abrams still trying to find a way around Batsione. And another point to make, there are only 4 GT3 drivers who have not had an issue, so your 581 car here leading GT4s is actually in 5th overall.
Yeah, doing a bit of an RS Spider, mixing it up with the class above, of course. We've seen that happen plenty of times, and most notably, actually, when Porsche and they won Petit Le Mans outright back in 2015 with the 911 RSR, beating all the prototypes in the pouring rain at Road Atlanta. So it's clearly a very Porsche thing to do. And I tell you what, the top right of our screen is just lit up with purple. Fastest lap after fastest lap from Terry Framheim, and he has pulled away by 5.2 seconds from a proper professional race car driver, Connor Bloom. Well, I've run out of superlatives to describe how impressive Terry Framheim has been this season.
Framheim has just been absolutely incredible, almost a 5.5 second advantage over Connor Bloom, and then Jim Slavic about another 15 seconds behind Bloom. Framheim right now on an absolutely blistering pace.
It really is. It just shows you, doesn't it? Funnily enough, I commentate on the Porsche Club Great Britain Sim Racing paddock, which got started a few months ago, and the champion in that series, Ryan Parkins, a bit like Teddy, not a professional racing driver, no kind of real major experience, but really fast in the sim, and same for Teddy. And look at this is really tight between Oviatt and Newton, and all this battling is allowing Abrams that little bit of breathing space, and he can then go and attack Boccioni. So interesting stuff between Newton and Oviatt, and Oviatt goes to cover his line, but Newton will go for the wider line into this hairpin. Oh!
Newton really put a lot of gas into that and overshoots the corner and losing a lot of room here to Eric Oviatt. Also, it looks like there was an issue for Sean Horvath in the GT3 car. So your leaders here in GT4, Bastiglione and Jacob Abrams, that's actually a battle for 4th overall on the track. So 2 GT4s right now in the top 5 overall.
This reminds me of Le Mans 2017 when the LMP2 cars nearly won the day as well. Fantastic stuff here from the GT4 guys. They're all on a really hot pace, and it just shows you how hot a pace they're on, because most of the time we're used to seeing Jacob Abrams just edge away at the front and really be able to deploy his pace, but he hasn't been able to do that. 10 minutes down, he's in 2nd place behind Boccioni, and you know, Oviatt and Newton are right there to capitalise on any mistake up ahead. And you know, a 30-minute race might not sound a lot, but around here at Sonoma, it's so technical that it really requires a lot of concentration.
Just over 10 minutes through already, and these drivers still not breaking apart in this top 4. You're watching off the rear end here of Eric Oviatt, the gap between him and Paul Newton for this final podium position in GT4 between these 2 Porsches. But right now, Bastiglione and Abrams starting to move away just a little bit from these 2.
Yeah, oh, we've got a spinner. This is the number 29 car of Ron Palmer. Oh, no. Mr. Chairman of the Porsche Owners Club gets it back onto the track. Of course, Devin, you were saying earlier on, he had quite a good weekend in the GT3 Red class a few weeks ago here at Sonoma.
Yeah, and the Red Cup finished 6th overall in the Red Cup back on July 26th. You're at Sonoma, and more issue. Oh, this is the replay. Excuse me, and got into Horvath as well.
Oh, and Horvath just had nowhere to go, but Michael Johnson had brilliant reactions there, avoiding the wreckage. Must be that newfound Octavio Tequila sponsorship, just giving him that extra edge over the competition.
Just a little bit. You know how it works when you got that turquoise up on that hood, and it really just helps that steering just align perfectly where you make a little bit of moves. Still, though, continuing, these GT3s are just having a lot of trouble today. Only 3 drivers have not had some sort of issue. Meanwhile, 4th in the class is Michael Johnson, 8th overall. Horvath has moved into 9th overall now. Looking back at the battle for 7th, Alan's dad, with Brian Swift, almost overshoots the corner and gets into the car in front of him. I believe that was John Momeyer just in front of him, almost made contact there.
Yeah, this is fierce all the way down the pack in GT4. Even after that big incident at turn 1, they've all sort of got back together. They've all reconvened for a battle. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the best performances of the year from Brian Swift. Not so maybe in track position, but just in the body language of the car. He's putting a lot of pressure on Alan Stad here. So clearly happy on home turf here at Sonoma. We're at the wheel of this beautiful Wright Motorsports liveried Porsche. Of course, the livery that Pat Long runs, of course, a Californian resident and obviously Porsche factory driver and major Porsche collector as well.
Momeyer losing a couple spots there from Phoenix, Arizona, has the Sun Devil pitchforks on his Porsche. Looks like more issues here for Ron Palmer now in GT4.
Yeah, Ron Palmer, the former American Honda motorcycle racer from the late 70s. He's now retired, but he's not having the best of days here today. Is Ron Palmer? He's falling victim to the I spoke too soon again. Just there you go, Devin. That's a really good demonstration there of if you just put one tire, even half a tire's width, onto the. Oh, Abrams goes past for the lead in in GT4 there. But Boccioni's not going to let him have it. Oh, nearly hit the pit wall there going into turn 1, and Abrams goes by, blocks it on the apex now. Can Boccioni respond?
Abrams with the overtake. Boccioni going to the final corner here. Abrams really squeezing in there to the right side in that corner. We talked about before this race started the madness in that final corner, and then side by side here down the straightaway.
Wow, what a move from Abrams. I mean, he just about a Porsche Cayman's width there, and fair play to Boccioni. Boccioni could have squeezed him, but he didn't. So let's get a replay of this then. He's lining it up, coming down towards turn 11, and Boccioni just shuts the door but leaves him a little bit of room and no more. And Abrams makes the move. Brilliant racing from both drivers.
Really tight battling, and now Abrams has almost added up a 1 second advantage over Boccione. Continually trying to get better and better, even though he's won 7 races this year. The 30-year-old continually getting wins, but having to fight for it today.
Yeah, he certainly is. We've had, of course, Jacob always good at coming in to chat to us in the booth after the race, and every week we get an update on how his race car project is going. He's building a race car, putting new turbos on it and all kinds of things. I won't tell you the brand. It's from another German manufacturer, which clearly inferior to Porsche, but anyway, he's in the right car on the sim.
Framheim now trying to make his way through some GT4 traffic, has a plethora of Caymans in front of him that he has to make a little bit of work on here.
Yeah, this is where Teddy Framheim's got to be really, really patient. You know, this is where it'd be really silly to get tangled up with back markers now. I mean, he's got so much pace in hand that he really, no need to take on any silly moves. He just pick his way through gently, knowing that corner bloom behind him is going to have to go through exactly the same traffic. That's so important in multi-class sports car racing, knowing that you've got to remember, you're not the only guy in traffic. So you've got to, you just got to be really, really patient and avoid those incidents.
Taking a look on the bottom right-hand corner is Framheim going up and down through the gears. The 34-year-old engineer at Apple, been sim racing for 10 years now and ran a lot of autocross back in his 2015 Cayman GTS, and taking iRacing a little bit more seriously over the past few years, and it is showing here in the Porsche Owners Club.
It certainly is. He has pretty much the ideal Porsche road car, the Cayman GTS, a beautiful machine, lovely balance, a wonderful normally aspirated motor as well, and that experience driving that car on the track, paying dividends here. But look at that, Teddy Framheim, he just made, it's really, really busy here, and actually Sonoma is a super difficult track to pass, a lot of left-right corners and a lot of places that are completely one-lined, and Teddy Framheim, he's just made a really smooth, clean pick through the field there, and that's just as important as his outright lap speed.
Now over a 7-second advantage for Framheim. Now looking back at the battle for the final podium position, Eric Oviatt in the all-blue car, Paul Newton with the blue and orange behind him, trying to make pace and catch on up and try to hop onto the podium.
Yeah, this has been a great battle, been raging on all the way through between Oviatt and Newton. They've just dropped off the pace of Boccione and Abrams, who are about maybe 3-4 seconds up the road right now, but they're having a brilliant battle. Of course, Newton in the Peels Oranges car, which is one of the most distinctive cars out there on track. So it's nice and easy for us to spot for the commentators.
Oviatt, the private driving coach, trying to keep Newton behind him and stay up on this podium. Looking for another good finish here, but also Newton been doing well in the points, just consistent finishes, trying to improve on that here tonight at Sonoma as well. Yeah,
Newton just trying to fill Oviatt's mirrors, just trying to make him think about it as well. And here they come through the S's. Oh, Abrams spun! Abrams spun! Oh, now has he collected Boccione? It's gone off camera. Abrams has spun, and oh, round he goes! Round he goes again! Yes, now that is fascinating to see that break in concentration from Jacob Abrams.
Your leader with a major issue goes back onto another part of the track. We'll take another look here coming around this 180 corner. Everything looks okay here until he actually comes off and into these S's.
Yeah, maybe just got a little getting quite lively over the curbs there. Yes, look at that. Just 2 wheels. I mean, not even half of a wheel on the grass/sand, and he just spun around. That Cayman, remember, has a wonderful mid-engine balance and traction control, but none of it could help Jacob Abrams there to stop the car from going around, and that's changed the complexion of this race completely. Abrams now back to 4th, and with just 11 minutes to go, he's got 10 seconds up the road to Paul Newton. So that changes things quite dramatically. And, well, drama here at Sonoma in the GT4 class.
He has already knocked off about 3 seconds on that lead, and I think it might just come down to, with your setup, who can keep those rear tires under you the most. And now this has become a battle for second between Eric Oviatt and Paul Newton. Newton really closing in here on corner entry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Paul Newton, you can imagine, he's now in the last spot in the podium, and when he saw Abrams spinning, he must have been like, oh, the man from Peels, he say yes. And he's putting some big pressure here on Eric Oviatt. This is the closest we've seen him, and it's funny when you just get that little bit of motivation and you think, I can have a big result here, I can really push, and oh, he's just putting a little bit. Oh, I tell you what, Paul Newton going to the very last millimeter of what's safe there, and he's going round the outside. No, he doesn't. No way. No way. Oh, just runs a little wide. I tell you what, Devin, I thought he was going to go round the outside at the final hairpin there.
I thought he might try to cut him off there in the hairpin and try to get back to the inside. Definitely outbrake Newton going into the corner, but overshot it, and now has to make up all that room once again in this battle for second in GT4.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So we're going to have a little look of an onboard. We're riding on we're riding in the air freshener of the Peels Oranges machine. So you can just see he's using loads of carbon. Gets a great run on Oviatt. Oviatt, I think, makes a slight mistake there. He's going around the outside hard on the brakes. And do you know what? Paul Newton there, he could have snipped across and they would have crashed, but he didn't. He decided to back out of it and try another day, and here you go. That day is now. He's right on putting a lot of pressure on Oviatt here.
Through the carousel, Newton just a little bit lower than Oviatt. This is the battle for second, and the GT3 leader of Teddy Framheim coming up right behind these guys, and this might completely change the battle. 3 wide here.
Oh, this is tight. Oh, and look at Teddy Framheim. Look at that. Such a wise driver. Oh, God. He's such a wise driver there, giving these guys a really wide berth. You could tell he's looking ahead and he's seeing them having a really fierce battle. He's probably been seeing that happen for a few corners, and he just gives them plenty of room and gets through safely. That is why Teddy Framheim is leading this race so convincingly. Brilliant traffic management. But Paul Newton's through, and look at it. He's really charging away now, so he's obviously got pace in that Peels Oranges machine.
Through that chaos, able to make the move, but a 4-second deficit between him and your leader, Doug Bosignone, continuing to try to catch on up. Both drivers looking for that victory here tonight. Meanwhile, taking a look at Connor Bloom, now 14 seconds behind Teddy Framheim, but 31 seconds in front of Jim Slavic right now. I mean, with 8 minutes to go, you hate saying, all right, let's bring home P2, but 14 seconds is a long way to make up.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly been Teddy Framheim's day, that's for sure. But I'll tell you what, interesting one back in GT4, Eric Oviatt now. He's now only got a 7-second advantage from Jacob Abrams. Now that was 10 seconds 3 minutes ago. So Jacob Abrams clearly putting in some hot pace, and it's going to be very close to see. Of course, that's about a second a minute, and well, we have 7 minutes left. So Abrams might be able to catch Oviatt, but he's going to have to push so hard to do that.
Abrams has not been able to make up a ton of ground on your leader now, just trying to bring it home in the top 5 and catch up to Oviatt. Currently sitting in the 4th position. Looks like Fagarian had some issues and teleported up to the front of the field, and so he's messed up timing and scoring just a little bit there. Meanwhile, Connor Bloom now trying to make work on the driver that's typically at the very top of the GT4 category.
Really good stuff there from Jacob Abrams. Normally when it's one line, you'll see guys just have to the faster car just have to sit behind, but Jacob Abrams made room for Connor Bloom there. Really impressive stuff. A lot of the drivers will be in communication with one another during the race. I can imagine that's an interesting conversation to listen to. That would be another after hours podcast, Evan. It's Doug Bocchioni. Well, he's the guy that hasn't made the mistakes. He's done a bit of a Jacob Abrams. He's not been the one who's not made the mistakes, and he is being rewarded with a 2.3 second gap with just 6 minutes to go.
The San Francisco East Bay area native Doug Bocchione, been racing spec boxers with Porsche Owners Club since 2011. Just started sim racing back in April when the pandemic happened and this series formed and started racing. Certainly, though, has learned a lot and now is looking for his first GT4 victory Meanwhile, a look further back in the field, Brian Swift and BJ Fulton in a battle here, actually a three-way battle. Alan Stad just in front of them as these drivers fight for the top 5 spot.
Yeah, this has been fantastic stuff, particularly from Brian Swift. We just saw, he's been battling with Alan Stad all the way through as we see Ron Palmer getting out of the way there. Oh, no, sorry, that's not Ron Palmer. That is, now who is that we've just gone past? This is 71 car. It's a new livery. It's an Apple livery, very apt for this part of the world.
Don't quite see the 71 on our scoring time, so might have a custom number. But
yes.
There are a couple of Apple employees here in this series that it could be. Meanwhile, these drivers continuing to battle for this final top 5 spot in GT4, Stad, Swift, and Fulton. There's been a lot of battling here mid-pack in GT4 all day long.
There certainly has, yeah. And like I say, Brian Swift has not let Alan Stad out of his sight, and he's putting a lot of pressure there. You'll be getting a great look at the Yoda that lives on the back of Alan's car, on the rear bumper of that car. Well, I think it's Yoda. It certainly looks like a Yoda. There he is on the right-hand side there.
That's gotta be a baby Yoda.
It's a what?
Gotta be a baby Yoda.
A baby Yoda, yes.
Good look there on the quarter panel. Thank you, Joe Peak, for helping us, Director Joe Peak, and that shop for us there to confirm baby Yoda there on the rear end of that car, trying to lock in that top 5.
I promise I will refrain from trying my Yoda impression. It's too early in the morning here in Scotland for that.
that could very well be true. These drivers continue to battle just a little bit into the grass there, or into the dirt, I should say, for Brian Swift, trying to catch up to Stad. And these drivers really pushing their limits as these tires are going away in these final 4 minutes.
There's Brian Swift running on the side of his car there. He's got First Form, which I believe are a form of supplements you can take if you want to go to the gym and flex in front of the camera for your Instagram account, if that's your thing. But all it means to us is it's a brilliant looking race car, that blue, white and black colour scheme of First Form. And massive oversteer there from Brian Swift. Looked like he was maybe getting the run, and I think he maybe just opened up the throttle that little bit early. And look at this, he just manages to defend from Mommemeyer there in the 96. Sorry, my apologies, not Mommemeyer. That is BJ Fulton, sorry.
Your leader's still pretty tight as we come down to the final 2 minutes. Doug Boccignone had a comfortable lead, but now Paul Newton has caught up, and even Eric Ovia has been able to hook onto the rear end of that little oranges machine, and now is trying to catch on up.
Yeah, Boccioni, now this is where this is so tricky when you've not won all season. You just want to see the checkered, and the last thing you want to see is this wonderful blue and orange machine just appearing. Oh, Swift's had a problem. It looks like he's maybe been in the tire wall at the final hairpin. We'll see if we can get a replay of that for you. So let's have a look. He's really putting pressure on Alan Stad. You could just see the body language of that car getting really, really frantic, almost slightly impatient, and he's having a look up the inside. Alan Stad throws a big block, and Brian Swift goes to go round the outside, just get a little bit late on the brakes. Has to just sort of skate it round, but avoids damage. But that's his. And he's off. And he's off again. Brian Swift, when it rains, it pours. What a shame.
Now back up to the leaders. Final 2 minutes. Boccignone, your leader in the green GT4 car. Newton and Oviatt close in tow. Final 120 seconds before we have our white flag. And these drivers are not giving up. All three looking for their first win of the season.
Tell you what, this is a standout drive from Paul Newton here in the 217 Peels Oranges machine. He's really been on a tear here. 1 minute and 43 seconds to go. What a conclusion this is to the GT4 race. This is the closest he's been. He's in the draft now. Not much of a draft effect here. Boccioni just stretches a car length or two. Heading into turn one they go, and Boccioni's really late on the brakes, but Newton just gets a little bit closer. Look at that close in there. Unless Oviatt's not done either. He's definitely part of this battle. This is going to go all the way to the line.
Newton did a good job going into one and being patient and getting back on the gas early, but he's going to have to be careful because Oviatt is right there trying to capitalize and trying to move into the second position. All three drivers only separated by about 0.3 of a second, and they might even have some traffic trying to drive through them here momentarily.
that could be critical. Matt Hollander in the GT3 machine, him coming through. Well, Matt Hollander could play part in the GT4 result once again here. If he's coming through, that's going to split it up. But tell you what, Paul Newton has got this car absolutely on the ragged edge. You can just see the body language of this car. Tell you what, Boccioni, very clever there, just covers the inside line. He can do that and get away with it without losing too much time there. Holds it, and here comes Hollander in the GT3 car. Is he going to try and make his way through? Remember, he's far down the GT3 order. Will he let these guys go? Newton's made a mistake. Newton's made a big mistake, and Oviat's gone through, and he's maybe just got spooked by Matt Hollander coming through in the GT3 machine.
And this is actually 4 points right now because Hollander is behind those drivers. That is for overall position and 4 points, so Hollander is going to try to get through the GT3 leaders. Meanwhile, Teddy Framheim throwing another clinic on here tonight, this time at Sonoma, an 11-second lead for Framheim here on the final lap. Back up to your leaders in GT4. Boccioni has added on to his lead over Oviat. Hollander behind them. That is a battle for points position with the overall.
Yeah, that's it. Really fascinating there as well. Hollander trying to make up for lost time as well. And we did say that was going to be the joker in the pack, was Matt Hollander coming in there to mix it up. And look at that. They're all spread out now. And it looked like Newton just made a mistake coming through the S's. And he's going to be devastated because he really was putting a lot of pressure on Boccioni. Boccioni, he will be breathing a huge sigh of relief right now because he looks like he's just about got this.
Has a large gap. Speaking of large gaps, 12-second advantage here for Teddy Framheim, looking for victory lane once again. There's a couple more corners before he finds victory lane again.
Tell you what, he's got the Porsche factory livery. Maybe he might want to get signed up as an Octavio factory driver, but here he is, Teddy Framheim then.
Your points leader, extending his lead. It's win number 5 on the season. Teddy Framheim wins at Sonoma. Meanwhile, back in GT4s, it was not given to him. Abrams does spin out from the lead, but Doug Boccioni had to fight for every single inch and hold off Eric Oviat and Paul Newton. But looking for win number 1 on the season through the hairpin one final time. No issues in the tricky corner. Gives up a little bit of time, but it won't be enough. Onto the drag strip he goes. Doug Boccioni, win number 1 on the season. He wins in GT4 at Sonoma.
What a stellar drive. Thoroughly deserved victory. Had to put up with the very, very best of the field there and held strong. Brilliant stuff. This is the battle for 5th position. Brian Swift and Alan Stad still going at it. And Brian Swift, you can tell he really wants to make this count. He goes to the outside at the hairpin. We've not seen it work yet. Alan Stad, very careful, covers the line. And here comes Michael Johnson in the Octavio Tequila 911 GT3. Brian Swift looks past, but Michael Johnson will open up that much more horsepower. Oh, right through they go to the line, and Alan Stad just takes it by a whisker.
A tight one. So many close finishes here after this 30-minute race at Sonoma in both GT3 and GT4 especially. We will go through all of your finishers in your final finishing order, and we will also talk to your top 3 of both classes on the podium here momentarily. Be sure to stick around watching here on GSRC. It's the Porsche Owners Club at Sonoma. Well, it was an exhilarating race in GT4, but it was also just another one of those showcases. Meanwhile, in GT3, here at Sonoma in the Porsche Owners Club, your race results here tonight. Teddy Framheim, another victory here in the Porsche Owners Club, defeating Connor Bloom by nearly 12 seconds. Bloom bringing home second. Jim Slavic brings it home on the podium in third. Michael Johnson in fourth, and Sean Horvath in fifth. Doug Boccignone, not only sixth overall, but taking the victory in GT4. Matt Hollander able to race back up to seventh after that initial turn one incident. Eric Oviatt ends up in eighth, Paul Newton ninth, and Jacob Abram rounds out your top 10.
11th was Alan Stad, just edging Brian Swift over the line after a great battle all race long. BJ Fulton was 13th, with Michael Roban in the Octavia Tequila GT4 came in 14th. Michael Ost was 15th, Aaron Edwards 16th, Ron Palmer 17th, tricky day for the number 29. 18th was Patrick Flanagan, with Adam Fulton in 19th, and Mark Rondeau finishing in 20th. In 21st was Jerry Freckleton, along with John Mommemeyer, Jad Duncan, Savek Fergarian, Travis Brown, Brian Salehi, and Nielsen Lawrence did not take the start.
Well, we have him here in the virtual booth. Teddy Framheim, win number 5 now on the year, and just, again, another clinic put on tonight. What was the difference? Another big win. How do you make up all that time? Connor Bloom was on that rear bumper for quite a while there at the start.
Yeah, at the start, trying to manage cold tires. Ultimately, it all comes down to practice. The races where I've done well, I've spent more time practicing on cold tires, driving in traffic, driving offline, like I said last time around. So that's ultimately what it comes down to. An hour or two a day, as I can here and there, as much as my wife allows me.
Isn't that the truth for a lot of us now? Well, looking at the point series, even with this extended schedule now, we're just past halfway, but still with your points lead continuing to grow, how do you look at the rest of the season trying to fight for that points championship?
Well, this race and Laguna Seca, these are my two home tracks, so to speak. And granted, I'm not driving them in a cup car, I'm driving them in my Cayman, but I at least have that little bit of local knowledge. On the other hand, I don't want to let that guide my thinking too much, because I don't want to assume that I know the fastest way around here in a cup car, because I get around these tracks pretty well in my Cayman. So it's the same thing, just trying to make sure that I leave time, that I'm disciplined in how I practice. I mean, even today, I had the one little spin passing traffic. Like that stuff has to not happen. So there's still work to do.
So do you think there's anything that you can take from the real world, regardless of what you're driving, try to take it here into the sim?
The theory has always been exactly the opposite. I didn't participate in sim racing leagues for a long time because it was always meant to be a means to an end. I can't afford a cup car, but I can sure afford to race one in the virtual world. But now that I'm participating in a few of these leagues, especially with the fact that we're all locked down, there's been an explosion in this kind of stuff. I can almost see, some goals in the sim racing side itself as well. But indeed, it feeds both ways for sure, as long as you're disciplined in how you control the car in both places.
Well, Teddy, another great race here tonight. Who do you have to thank for sitting on the top step of the podium again here at Sonoma?
As usual, thank you to Matt Hollander and the POC, and to you guys at the GSRC for putting these events on. Thank you again to my wife for letting me spend so much time locked away in my office with this VR headset on. But yeah, hopefully it's at least fun for you guys to watch too.
Well, it's certainly been fun to watch you go out and put down some incredible laps. Congrats on the win here again, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Laguna Seca.
Thank you, guys.
Your GT3 winner, Teddy Framheim, and now Peter's caught up with your GT4 winner, Doug Boccignone.
Doug, what a brilliant drive. Excellent win, but you had to work for it. Tell us about the race today.
Thanks so much, Peter. It was a challenging one. I think it really started with getting a good qualifying lap, which put me in front of the carnage at going into turn 2. And then I was able to stay in front of Jacob for a while. He got me on the inside of the final turn, and and then followed him for a few laps. He made a mistake, and fortunately, Paul and Eric were battling each other, gave me a little bit of space, and I was able to stay in front of him, get my first sim racing victory.
Oh, that's fantastic news. Well, congratulations on that. You couldn't have fought any harder for it with all that, with Jacob Abrams, who's been the standout driver. Brilliant stuff. Now, tell us about that move into the final hairpin. We saw Jacob. If there was a Porsche Cayman's width, there can't have been a millimeter either side, but you gave him the racing room just enough. Tell us about your thought process going into that corner, knowing you might have made a move.
Yeah, I wanted to make him make a decision to go wide, and so I purposely left him a little bit of space, but I frankly thought he was going to back out of it, and we touched a little bit, but just a little rub out, and I thought I could get on the gas quicker than him, but he stayed in front of me, and fortunately I was able to get by him a little bit later.
Oh, fantastic stuff. And next time we're off to Laguna Seca, another wonderful undulating, sandy Californian circuit. How are you feeling heading towards that track?
I'm feeling pretty good. These are the two tracks where I've raced the most in my spec Boxster racing career, so I feel very comfortable at both of them, and I'm looking forward to the next race. And I want to thank my wife, Bonnie, for all her support, and my coach, Greg Lafougue, for helping me get more consistent as a driver.
Oh, fantastic stuff. And real class to win the race. And then the first person you thank is your wife. That is a man who lives her life the right way. Doug, what a brilliant drive that was. Go and enjoy the win, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Laguna Seca.
Thanks so much, Peter.
That is your winner in GT4. Now let's go ahead and bring up your second place finisher, Eric Oviatt. A great run there at the end. Take me through that final battle. It was fun watching you, Doug, and Paul just go at it there in those final couple of laps.
Yeah, I was counting down the laps. I think maybe 3 to go or something. It was looking like I might have a shot when they were going side by side. I was able to catch up to him a little bit. So, yeah, I didn't quite have enough for Doug, but that was a good little battle. Looking both ways.
Yeah, what do you find the most difficult part of this race? Obviously, there was a lot of fruition with so many drivers having issues at the start of this race, but what did you find the most challenging as we went through this 30 minutes at Sonoma? Thank goodness, unlike usual, it was actually a decent track temperature here tonight.
Yeah, it was nice. I haven't driven the GT4 in a long time, so I haven't dealt with traffic. So having the GT3 cars come through was a little different. I lost second to Paul the first time. I think it was when Teddy was coming through. Just a little bit of distraction, enough to let somebody by, and I guess that was a little different than what I've been doing lately. But all good.
Well, a great finish, second place, and a lot of fun to watch you three battle it out. Who do you have to thank for sitting up here on the podium tonight?
Man, thanks POC for continuing to do this. This is cool. Something to keep us busy and keep us together. So right on. Yeah, thanks for POC and thanks for broadcasting, guys. Have a good one.
You too, Eric. Eric Oviatt coming home in second in GT4. Now we'll hand it back on over to Peter. He is caught up with your third place finisher tonight in GT3, Jim Slavic, finishing on the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jim. Well done on a podium finish there, and certainly was an attritional race there at Sonoma. Tell us about it from your driver's seat.
Well, I can't wait to watch it. After the first or turn 2, I never saw Connor and Teddy, so I just had to stay on the track once I realized I was in third. Yeah,
that was the key to the day. Now, we had quite a controversial incident in turn 1 of the race with Matt Hollander having a little bit of a spin. Did that happen in front of you or behind you?
I believe Matt was in front of me at the time, but there was a lot of smoke, and I was just glad to get through it all.
Absolutely, certainly. I was the GT4 runners. Unfortunately, we're not so lucky. Now, here at Sonoma, the track's so narrow, it's so technical. How did you find getting through the lap traffic in this race? Because there's so many parts which are all one line.
Well, the GT4 guys were really good, and I didn't have to catch any GT3s, so I can't tell you about that. But they were really good. They figured it out when we were coming by, and they let us go.
Oh, that's brilliant stuff. And next time we're off to Laguna Seca, not too dissimilar from Sonoma, and of course a track which many of you have real-world experience on. Do you have a bit of experience under your belt at Sonoma? At Laguna, sorry.
Yes, sir. I like Laguna Seca. I'll be racing there this weekend in the GT Celebration series.
I've just gone raw green with envy. That sounds a whole lot of fun. I've played Laguna Seca on even since the early Gran Turismo days. I can't imagine what it's like to drive. Well, Jim, all the best of luck for that race, and we'll see you at a virtual Laguna Seca at least in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much. I'll be here. Thanks to Matt and POC and True Speed and Maglock.
Jim Slavic bringing it home tonight on the podium in third. Now we also talked to your third place finisher in GT4, Paul Newton, bringing it home on that podium. And Paul, take me through. You, Doug, and Eric put on a show there in those final couple laps. Take me through those final couple laps.
Well, we were all kind of just holding station until we saw Jacob go off. And then from that point, it was race on. I think I had a little more pace than both of them, but it's just so hard to pass at that track. I made a move in turn 7 on Eric there, and I just kind of slammed the door on him. And I knew I could get to Doug. I just didn't know if I could pass him. By the time I got to Doug, Eric was still right on me. So I wanted the win. I had to go for the win there. I knew that if I had made a move for try to take the win and wasn't going to do it, I knew Eric was probably going to eat me up, and that's exactly what happened. But I know some of my championship rivals had some trouble tonight, so I was willing to give up that place to try to get number 1.
Well, you laid it all out there on the track, and with the tires wearing out, and then, of course, you also have Matt Hollander in a GT3 trying to come through the field for position as well. What did you find the most difficult part of that final battle there at the end of the race?
Just finding a lane, finding enough momentum to get by the guy in front. You really have to force your way past, and I'm probably not the most aggressive driver, but a race like this will bring it out of you. I really tried to get up there.
Well, it was certainly fun to watch. Paul, who do you have to thank for climbing up here on the podium here tonight?
I want to thank GSRC for broadcasting these races and the Porsche Owners Club for putting on such great races and welcoming me with open arms. And I want to thank Peel's California Mandarins.
Yes, one of our favorite cars to go out and watch there on the track.
And I definitely want to congratulate Doug for the win today. I know that it's really tough that we got Jacob in there and he's taking them all the time, but it's awesome for Doug to get a win.
It was a fun race to watch. Paul, congrats on bringing it up here on the podium. We'll see you here in a couple of weeks at Laguna Seca.
Thank you.
All right, we will talk to one more driver. Peter has caught up with Michael Johnson.
I am joined by Octavio Tequila's brand new factory driver, Michael Johnson. Michael, how does it feel to sign for such a prestigious race team? He's speechless.
Absolutely speechless.
I am speechless. Sorry, I had the mute button on. I was just extolling the virtues of Octavio Tequila, which, of course, after the race is the first thing you go for.
Absolutely. Share a tasting note with us of that small batch tequila.
Well, I got to say, it has a wonderful smoothness to it. A lot of times, you see the people who shoot a tequila shot and they shake their head and it's all crazy. You don't shoot this. This is not a shoot. This is a sit back, enjoy, take a nice little sip. It just kind of coats your mouth. You feel all the wonderful dancing through it. It could almost be described like wines are often described. It's just a wonderful, smooth, enjoyable tequila to relax with.
Absolutely. I tell you what, Patron, eat your heart out. This is
Octavia
is here. The new name for Patron in sports car racing. Speaking of sports car racing, and that's what I'm supposed to be asking you about, of course, Michael. How did you find it out there at Sonoma today?
Well, our practice race earlier on went much better. I won that one. But this one, it was a race of catch up. I qualified where I wanted to. I kind of wanted to tuck in behind Connor. I thought that was a good spot for me because Connor and I in real life have had some pretty good races back and forth. So I think that was a good place to be. And then, I think there was, I think it was Bayan who came through and kind of lost control. I don't know what happened to him, but it took me out. And then I think I was like next to last of the entire field trying to work my way back through. Fortunately, this is sim racing, so I had a fast repair. But then that puts me again at the back, and working my way through traffic was, we'll say, challenging. There was even an incident with a back marker who couldn't decide which, calling him a back marker is not true. I was behind him, catching up, coming through. A slower class car who was having trouble deciding which side to let me pass on, and I actually tagged him. Didn't intend to, but that's kind of the way it works sometimes.
Certainly does. It happens a lot in multi-class sports car racing. And speaking of sports car racing, we know you're working on plans for some running in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. How's that all been going the last little while?
So Pilot Challenge is now kind of morphing into a Lamborghini ride. One of the clients I've been working with really wants to move from his Ferrari Challenge into something a little bit quicker, and the Lamborghinis are a little bit faster, a little bit more fun, and the joy is we drive the same car. It's a 2-driver series, so I drive and he drives, and we get to compare notes, we get to compare exact lap for lap how we did on which tire, how bad were the tires, and it's a 2-race weekend. So the first race, for example, he would start, and then the second race, for example, I would start. So whoever starts the first race finishes the second race. So you get a lot of good working time to learn how to start a race, how to finish a race, how to work with traffic. It's exciting, and I'm hoping we end up getting the Lamborghini ride.
That sounds like a whole lot of fun. Of course, beautiful machine, the Lamborghini Super Trofeo 5.2 litre V10, a beautiful, beautiful machine. Now, is that the same series that Madison Snow runs in?
I believe so. There are a bunch of the pro drivers who bounce in and out, and Madison, I think, is one of the ones who's in and out fairly often.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with that, Michael. Looking forward to hearing a bit more about it, and hopefully we'll have another chat 2 weeks' time at Laguna Seca.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I promised you a podium, and I was within 11 seconds of it. So 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be on the podium for you. I promise.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming to join us, Michael, and go and enjoy a nice cold glass of Octavio tequila.
Thanks.
Well, 2 weeks from now, we will be at Laguna Seca. Peter, what are you expecting there, of course, besides a Michael Johnson podium?
Yeah, I think definitely a Michael Johnson podium as well. I mean, Laguna, like I say, I use the term loosely for sim racing when I talk about Gran Turismo 1, but Laguna Seca is sort of imprinted on my brain, I think, from a misspent youth playing that game. And it's a track that so many people know. Of course, I'm a big motorcycle racing fan as well, and it's, home to one of the most famous overtaking manoeuvres ever when Valentino Rossi overtook Casey Stoner at the corkscrew. So I think it's going to be eventful, a bit like Sonoma. It's very technical, it's very tricky, even more undulations as well, of course. And I think that patience through lap traffic is going to be key because it's very, very tight around Laguna.
It will be a fun one here 2 weeks from now. We hope that you had a phenomenal Labor Day and Labor Day weekend. And we have to thank the sponsors that help us out and the series with their season and the broadcast. Sunset Mortgage, of course, Octavio Tequila, and Century Financial Consultants, and the organizer, the Porsche Owners Club. And if you are interested with advertising with GSRC, our channel's 1 million monthly global impressions are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description below on YouTube or visit globalsimracingchannel.com/advertising. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed right here on your screen. And an additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of her for more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Peter and producer Joe Peak. If you would like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And if you would like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. The link is in the description below. And don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page. Go hit that big red subscribe button so you never miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Our next race for the Porsche Owners Club Sim Racing League will be on September 21st, every other Monday, at WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. We also have upcoming races for many other series listed here on your screen, so go check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, guys, race clean, race hard, and we'll see ya on the track.